Today, we're answering the most common questions about spousal sponsorship process. My name is Olena Weber. I'm regulated Canadian immigration consultant. And here today with me, I have Cory Weber, also a Canadian immigration consultant. So we're going to answer your immigration questions with regards to spousal sponsorship. If you have not subscribed to our channel, today is a great day to do that. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment any questions about spousal sponsorships that you have so we can answer them in the comment section. Hi, Cory. How are you doing today?
Very good. It's a very nice day today, so we're good.
Yes. All right. So what I did, I gathered most common questions about spousal sponsorship process from our followers and our subscribers. And today I'm just going to fire those questions at you so you can quickly address them so everybody can get their answers all in one video. So the first question, pretty basic. What is the spousal sponsorship in Canada process?
Yep. So spousal sponsorship is pretty self-explanatory. If you think about it, you have a spouse and you are wanting to sponsor them. That can be a common law partner or a married partner, in some cases, a conjugal partner, but basically that you have somebody and you are eligible to then sponsor them to come to Canada and be together. That's the basic gist of it.
Yep. So how does spousal sponsorship work in Canada?
Yeah. So again, the assumption is that one person here is in Canada is either a permanent resident or a citizen, and they are sponsoring someone who is not a permanent resident or a citizen, someone who is either outside of the country, maybe back home in another country, or they could be someone here in Canada who they are now married to, or perhaps have lived with for 12 months or more, which makes you common law. So the eligibility is one person has to be that citizen or permanent resident, and one person is not. And then if you're all eligible, you can sponsor them in Canada, like we mentioned, and then you can be together.
Sounds good. So what is inland spousal sponsorship?
So the inland sponsorship pathway is where that permanent resident or the citizen that we've talked about is living here in Canada with their partner, most often like with their partner, either married or in a common law situation, and you're going to apply while that person, the foreigner if you will, is living in Canada temporarily. Could be on a work permit, could be on a study permit, could be a postgrad work permit holder or a visitor even, but that person is physically here in Canada with the partner who is the Canadian citizen or permanent resident. With that application type, it's the in Canada. So you're both together in Canada already. And at the time of applying, you are both still here in Canada.
Makes sense. So what is the Outland spousal sponsorship then?
Yeah. So then the Outland, you can imagine would be when that person who you are sponsoring is not residing with you in Canada. So the permanent resident or citizen would be here living in Canada, or in the case of Canadian citizens, you could be abroad. But the person who you are sponsoring is not a resident of Canada. They do not live here. They don't have any, sometimes no status at all, which is fine. In a lot of cultures, you might go back home and you might get married, or you might find your sweetheart in a different country. Who knows? With online dating, you find a spouse in a different country, you can sponsor them from that country to come to Canada, and upon approval, they would be a permanent resident and they would be admitted to Canada.
Makes sense. So where do you apply for spousal sponsorship?
Yes. So the nice thing about sponsorship now and the changes we've seen over the last few years is it's 100% online. The spousal sponsorship application. So there's a specific portal. You would log in, you create an account, and you would just do all the work online. It's all online, which is really nice. So you upload your documents there, you upload the information there, you fill out the forms there. So it used to be a paper-based application, and it would be a stack of paper this big that you would have to mail to the government. So those changes have happened in the last few years. It's very nice now that you don't have to do all that. And so yeah, 100% online. Then you're able to track your application online. Everything is done through emails, through the government, the different stages of the process as you're after you've submitted. It's all done online. You can basically track your application online as well. So 100% online.
Sounds good. So how long does the spousal sponsorship process take?
Yeah, depends on which kind of sponsorship you're doing. I believe I haven't checked this week yet, but the inland applications, I believe at last week we're sitting at 29 months, according to the government's own processing time, like on their
That is a
website.
long time.
It is a long time. And I think that the Outlands were, I can't remember exactly, it was around 11 months for the Outland applications. That's again, both of those times are according to the government's online processing time tool, where you can check that. In reality, though, we are not seeing those timelines with our clients. Of course, that can change, but we are seeing closer to about 1 year for those inland applications, let's say 10 to 12 months right now. But of course, those numbers can change going forward, but we're not seeing that 29 months, knock on wood, so far. And for the Outland applications, it really does depend on like which country you're kind of applying from. But generally, we're seeing still around the 8 to 10 to 12 months for the Outland applications as well. In some cases, depending on the country, we've seen it as fast as 3 to 4 months recently.
And that was
Again,
for a citizen of.
the United States of America. The very fast processing times for the US right now. So if you're thinking about applying from the US, now is a good time. It's very quick processing.
Yep, sounds good. All right, couple last questions. Can I withdraw my spousal sponsorship?
You can. You technically can. If you're, let's say, your relationship ends or if something happens, yes, you can technically withdraw your application if you choose so. If the relationship breaks down, if you divorce, if something like that happens in the process of applying, waiting for the application, then yes, you can withdraw the application. The one caveat would be that if you are approved under spousal sponsorship and your relationship breaks down after the approval, the sponsor is still legally, like financially tied to that person, and they have to sign a form which is called an undertaking. But basically, you're tied to that person for 3 years. You have to be able to take care of them, and technically you're on the hook for their monetarily, basically. That's upon approval, though. So if you are approved, even if your relationship breaks down, you're still, that financial tie is still there for 3 years.
Okay, sounds good. And the last question for today, can spousal sponsorship be denied?
It can be denied. Yeah, it doesn't happen too often, but right now we are seeing more scrutiny, I guess you would say, on all different types of immigration applications, including spousal sponsorship. And so, yes, absolutely, they can be denied. We've heard sometimes they can be rejected right off the bat. If, for example, you have forgotten important documents, your application, they just return it to you and say,
And that
missing
happens all
documents.
the time,
Happens all the
realistically.
time. Yeah. That's one type of refusal sort of pathway. Another would be, generally speaking, if there were questions about the relationship, if there were questions about the genuineness of the relationship and the reasoning of the sponsorship, if they think you're doing it for just to get that permanent residence for someone, they could request an interview. And we have seen more of these coming as well in recent times. So there is a possibility that after that interview, depending on how it goes, the application could absolutely be refused if you're not able to satisfy the officer that the application or the marriage or that it's not genuine enough, right? So there are multiple different kind of pathways that could end in refusal, but so it's important to be careful with it, right? It is, application for sponsorship is generally one of the biggest document applications you're putting together. It's a lot of information. There's a lot of forms to fill out, a lot of documents that need to be included. So the important thing is to do it correctly the first time and not miss important documents, not, you know, leave out important information. So to give yourself the best chance to have a quicker processing time, to put a stronger application together.
100%. And I just want to add to this that unfortunately, if your relationship is genuine and is real, unfortunately, that doesn't really guarantee the approval. And we've seen absolutely amazing couples, 100% real, genuine marriages, couples in love, couples that like truly are together getting denied. And it's not always a fair process, but it is your job to really, really prove your relationship to IRCC if you want the application to go smooth, because it's unfortunately not always fair. It doesn't always make sense. So just be prepared for the kind of the worst or the scrutinizing, right, of the
Yeah,
application,
that's it.
because that's just the reality of right now, especially in 2025, 2026. That's what we're
Exactly.
going to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I have consultations, multiple times a week, and I hear like this constantly, that it's application was returned for this, application was refused for that. So it is important to be careful with. with that. And if you have questions, to reach out and seek help, because if you just mail it in, oh, we'll probably be fine, you probably won't be fine. It's not something to take lightly. I think it's a serious application to put in. So yeah, make sure you're happy with your final result, and then push that submit button.
Yeah, and for real, like all the instructions are online. There is a huge IRCC guide on their online resources, like their official IRCC page. It's really big, but it does contain a lot of information that you probably need to know when you're putting your application together. If you are intending on doing it yourself, there's a document checklist, and which has a lot of information again that you do need to read and know, and cross all the T's and dot all the I's, right? And the information is there, like it's not really hidden. All you need to do is really just to read it and to follow it. And it is a big application. There is a lot of documents and there is a lot of instructions, but we just want to warn you to be safe and to really um, approach it in a detail oriented way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The last thing I just say is that, it's not one of those applications that you're going to put together in a weekend, sitting together. It's not the same as like some other simple applications. This is going to take you, it should probably take weeks to months in some cases for people to put this application together to gather all those documents. So yeah, don't take it lightly. It's not going to get done, in a blink of an eye. So be serious about it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Corey, for answering these commonly asked questions. Please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to grow. We're trying to provide more and more useful info to you. And if you have any questions about spousal sponsorship process, please leave them in comment and just be as descriptive as possible as to your information and your situation, so we can really answer your question to the best of our ability. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.